On today's show, the Houston Rockets rally from down 13 in the fourth quarter to beat the Memphis Grizzlies. Jalen Green leading the way offensively, tying his career high with 42 points, including the go-ahead bucket to put the Rockets in front for good late in this game. Amen Thompson put the clamps on Ja Morant. Cam Whitmore was a huge spark off the Rockets bench, and so much more. It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Another day, another win against the Memphis Grizzlies for your Houston Rockets. And you know what that means.
Release the hounds.
Release the hounds. Head on over to the Locked On Grizzlies YouTube channel and tell them Locked On Rockets sent you on by. What's up? And welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Thursdays. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets, where the best way you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop us a comment while you're there. Tell me your favorite moment, your favorite individual play from this game. Was it Jalen Green's go-ahead bucket? Maybe it was one of his filthy step-back three-pointers, or one of Amen Thompson's 5 blocked shots in this game. Maybe it was something else. Let me know in the comments, or just say Go Rockets. It helps us out a ton. Also, subscribe to the daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. Would sincerely appreciate that. So much to get into from this Rockets 120-118 win against the Grizzlies. We've got to talk about Jalen Green's huge offensive night. Probably the best game of his career, most efficient game of his career. He continues his insane tear and just got it done at all 3 levels. Grizzlies had no answer for him. His gravity was on display, making life easier for his teammates. This was a superstar level performance from Jalen Green. Amen Thompson getting it done everywhere on the floor, defensively, offensively. He had Ja Morant. He put him in the penitentiary. Had just Ja Morant was hating life in this game. Cam Whitmore with a huge spark off the Rockets bench, 16 points in 21 minutes. So much to get into. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you so much for being an everydayer. Now, look, this was a game that it looked and it felt like the Grizzlies were just firmly in control for a majority of this game. Felt like every time the Rockets were able to make a push or go on a little run, the Grizzlies had an answer. And a big part of that was turnovers. The Rockets were not doing themselves any favors. One of their win conditions, one of the things that they do better than most teams in the NBA is take care of the basketball. In this game, the Rockets had 23 turnovers to the tune of 31 points for the Grizzlies. Meanwhile, they did still force 18 turnovers and scored 27 points off of those 18 turnovers by Memphis. But normally the discrepancy there is much more in favor of the Rockets. They usually take really good care of the basketball. They didn't do that in this game. And in various stretches, when the Grizzlies did start to pull away, or when the Rockets started to get back into things, it was when they were taking care of the basketball, and then they were able to execute offensively, and then they would get back into it. And then they would go back to not taking care of the basketball, and the Grizzlies would jump back out in front due to some, combination of their high-octane offense and their insane shot making. And actually, talk about insane shot making. The Grizzlies hit so many different Hail Mary shots in this game, late in the shot clock, 2 seconds left, 3 seconds left, whatever, sending up prayers at the rim. Ja Morant hit a almost half court bomb after a jump ball to put the Grizzlies back up 12, in the fourth quarter. And that was one of those where you're just kind of man, it's just one of those nights. Everything is going the Grizzlies' way. But the Rockets didn't quit. And that's one of the best things. That's one of the coolest things about this team is they have so much fight, so much resiliency. Young teams are often really susceptible to getting punched in the mouth and then folding, right? This Rockets team never folds. They never give up. They find a way to fight and claw and scrap and get themselves back in these games. And that's exactly what happened here. The Rockets were still down. They were, you look at the third quarter and it kind of looked like it was about to be game over in the third quarter. Desmond Bane after his little technical interaction with Dillon Brooks, he reeled off a quick 15 points, and the Rockets were down double digits again. And then they found a way to put together a 9-1 run to close out that third quarter, put themselves in a good position to start the fourth, only down 5. And then in the fourth quarter, they found themselves down 13 again, because the first handful of possessions in the fourth quarter, they kept turning the ball over. First, it was an Amen Thompson turnover. Then it was an Aaron Holiday turnover. Then Fred VanVleet checked back into the game because Ime was like, I've had enough of these turnovers. And then Fred turned the ball over. It was just brutal. And then from that point, after going down 13 and after being held scoreless for the first almost 2.5 minutes of the fourth quarter, Rockets went on a 33-18 run to close out the game and come out on top and get the win. And they executed. They finally started taking, they still had a few turnovers down the stretch, but they were executing at such a high level to close out this game. Over that stretch where it was 33-18, the final 9.5 minutes of this game, that stretch did include that Hail Mary half-court heave from Ja Morant that he wound up hitting. But even including that shot, Grizzlies were limited to just 7 of 17 shooting from the floor, 41.2%, and they had 4 turnovers. Meanwhile, on the other end, Rockets shot 11 of 14 from the floor, 2 of 2 from downtown, and they were 9 of 12 at the free throw line. The Rockets were attacking constantly and getting to the charity stripe, a place where they really struggled last game against the Grizzlies to convert on all the attempts that they were generating at the free throw line. They did a great job in this one, and they had so many big plays down the stretch. They had the one where Jalen Green had to kick it to Fred with like no time remaining on the clock, and Fred just shot a moon ball to go up, hit the 3 to go up 107-105. And that was like, I guess the basketball gods finally looked at the Rockets and said, all right, fine, you can have one too. We gave the Grizzlies like 4 or 5 of these this game already. You guys can have one too. And, to swing back out in front with all that momentum. Rockets had a play where they had all this beautiful ball movement that started with Jalen Green driving, attracting the attention from the Grizzlies defense, then passing it to Steven Adams, and then Steven Adams, taking a quick dribble towards the rim to draw the defender, and then bounce passing it to Amen Thompson for an easy dunk at the rim. And keep in mind, Amen Thompson, he was sensational during this Rockets comeback. He had 12 of his 19 points during this stretch in the fourth quarter as the Rockets were able to rally and get back into this game, including multiple pivotal plays on the defensive side of the ball. He had 5 block shots in this game, 2 steals, 7 stocks total. He had the one where he blocked the shot and then got out in transition and kicked the pass ahead to Jalen Green, who was able to step back into a 3-pointer and knock that shot down, which was a huge 3 for Jalen in this one. And then he had arguably, I think maybe the most important defensive play of the game. First, Jalen Green with the biggest bucket of the night, driving and making the go-ahead layup with a little more than 30 seconds left in the game, drove, elevated, finished through contact against Brandon Clark. Probably should have been an and one to put the Rockets up for good, 116-115. And then on the very next possession, Ja Morant, not wasting any time, trying to get a 2-for-1 opportunity, drives the length of the court, gets into the teeth of the defense, and Amen Thompson guarding him beautifully, forces the ball off of him, ball knocks off of Ja's waist, chest, whatever, goes out of bounds, turnover on Ja Morant, his second turnover of the quarter, and then comes down on the other end and knocks down a pair of insanely clutch free throws to put the Rockets up 3. Just big play after just executing. And there were still some hiccups. There were still some moments, some, spots where the Rockets could have done a little better. There was a trap on Jalen that resulted in a turnover. There was a Sengun turnover that happened where he got poke checked, and it didn't matter. The Rockets still managed to find a way to win. And this was easily one of the best wins of the season for the Rockets. And now they hold the tiebreaker against the Memphis Grizzlies. They've won 3 of the 4 meetings against the Grizzlies. They hold the head-to-head tiebreaker. Doesn't matter what happens in the next meeting that they have later this month against Memphis in Memphis. And that's going to be really important as far as the standings are concerned, considering that the Rockets and Grizzlies have basically been right there like neck and neck at the top of the Western Conference for most of this season. That tiebreaker, I feel like, is going to be really, really important down the line for this team as we look at playoff seeding a little bit later on as the season kind of starts winding down and we start taking a look ahead at the playoffs and where this Rockets team is ultimately going to shake out in the Western Conference standings. But coming up, I want to talk about Jalen Green's career high tying night, 42 points, how effective he was scoring at basically every level in this game, but the biggest one, getting to the free throw line where he went 11 of 11. Amen Thompson's defensive impact in this game and how he's transformed the Rockets offensively. Cam Whitmore's spark off the bench. So much more to get into. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by WayFair. Look, after the holiday hustle, there's nothing quite like giving your home a little bit of TLC. I always find that decluttering and refreshing my space helps me get back into a good routine. So whether you're tidying up, clearing out, or just want to give your space a new look to start the new year, WayFair has everything you need all within your budget. I'm currently looking for some furniture, and their huge selection makes it easy to find pieces that fit my style and my budget. My personal favorite part, the free and hassle-free delivery, even for large items. WayFair's site is so easy to navigate, and I found everything I needed in absolutely no time. There's something for every style and every single home, no matter your space or budget. So give your home the refresh that it needs with WayFair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WayFair, WayFair.com. WayFair, every style, every home. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, let's talk a little bit about Jalen Green's insane performance here against the Grizzlies. 42 points, 13 of 18 shooting overall, 5 of 6 from downtown, and 11 of 11 at the charity stripe to go along with 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 3 turnovers. It was a +8 in his 40 minutes of run. And this was, without a doubt, one of the most well-balanced, overall efficient scoring games, maybe the best one of Jalen Green's entire career. Got it done on so many different levels. The Grizzlies had zero answer for him, regardless of where he was trying to go, whether it was early in the game, him driving to the rim and getting around defenders and finishing at the cup, whether it was him pulling up within rhythm, right? Within the flow of the offense, knocking down threes at a ridiculous clip, 5 of 6 from downtown in this game. But the biggest part of his game in this one was his ability to draw fouls and get to the free throw line. That, to me, speaks volumes about Jalen's growth. And when he can get to the charity stripe, it leads to good things, right? That rhythm, the feel for getting to the free throw line and seeing the ball go through the hoop, I think really helps unlock the rest of his game. And when you look at how effective he was in this one, he scored consistently throughout all 4 quarters of this game. He had 11 in the first, 11 in the second, 10 in the third, and 10 in the fourth quarter. He kept the scoreboard moving. He kept the Rockets in it, even when they fell down, when they fell behind by double digits. Jalen Green didn't disappear. He didn't lose himself at any point in the game, and at no point did the Grizzlies' defense, I guess, dissuade him from continuing to play that he had the way that he had been playing for the majority of the game. His gravity was fully on display, to where there were moments where the Grizzlies tried to trap him. Like, think about the driving to the left baseline, fading and falling out of bounds, getting fouled on that 3-pointer for that and one opportunity. Like, the degree of difficulty on that shot. And for Jalen to be able to navigate all of this all evening long, like whether it was him attacking in isolation, whether it was him coming off a screen and getting downhill, whether it was him running 2-man game with Alperen Sengun, it felt like he played a damn near perfect basketball game. There were a couple turnovers in the fourth quarter, but outside of that, like this was probably the best game of Jalen Green's career, given the stakes of the game, given the amount of attention or the amount of defensive attention that was being dedicated to him every single possession down, and to see him be effective from basically everywhere on the floor. It wasn't like, some games where he's got it going, where he can get going inside and get downhill and finish the rim, but the three ball's not there, or the games where he's just insanely hot from three, and then he can't get it going, inside because there's a rim deterrent or a shot blocker. And, he was finding ways to, whether it was Zach Edey in the game and he was driving and finishing around him, or whether it was Brandon Clark and he was just driving and finishing through contact or drawing fouls and getting to the rim. This was truly a superstar level performance from Jalen Green, and his scoring gravity led to so many easy opportunities for his teammates. I think the most beautiful play of the entire game was the one where Jalen Green initiated in the fourth quarter. This was while the Rockets were making their comeback, and he initiated the play, came off a down screen from Amen Thompson, caught the ball at the top of the key, drove into the defense, or started to drive into the defense, and then kicked the pass to Steven Adams, who then, waited for Jaren Jackson Jr. to commit to him, and then just a clean no-look bounce pass to Amen Thompson for the wide-open dunk at the rim. Like, that's the kind of gravity that we're talking about with Jalen Green. And when he's playing like this, it's truly unbelievable to witness. I'm really surprised he didn't walk away with a poster in this game, though. He tried to poster Brandon Clark, and then he tried to poster Zach Edey later in this game, and didn't get either one of them, but got free throws for both attempts. He's going to walk away with a poster at some point, but a big part of the success, I think, that you're seeing from Jalen Green over this most recent stretch, really ever since Amen Thompson entered the starting lineup, is the speed at which this Rockets team plays at. Jalen spoke about it a little bit post-game, talking about what Amen Thompson, what that chemistry does for both of them in the game, and to have Amen Thompson out there to be able to shoulder taking the toughest guard defensive assignment, to be able to be so impactful on the defensive side of the ball, and basically ignite so many fast break and transition opportunities that then gets Jalen going. Mentioned it already, but that kick-ahead pass that Amen Thompson had after he had one of his 5 ridiculous blocks, the kick-ahead pass to Jalen Green, where he was then able to step back into a three-pointer in rhythm, knocking down a huge shot there in the fourth. Like, moments like that aren't possible without Amen Thompson. And the way that those two guys feed off of one another, and even in the half court, Amen Thompson has done such a beautiful job operating out of the corner, cutting in from the kind of the backline area, or operating out of the dunker spot and being that release valve for the offense. So when the defense puts all that focus on stopping Jalen on the perimeter, and then he makes that read and gets the ball to Alperen Sengun in the pocket, and then or Steven Adams, and then the big just makes that next read, and Amen Thompson is right there as the release valve. It's just beautiful basketball, and that's what we saw on display all throughout this game. When the Rockets weren't turning the ball over, when they were able to actually execute offensively, it looked really, really pretty while they were doing it. The Rockets shot 50.6% from the floor in this game, 41 of 81 overall. They had 28 assists on their 41 made baskets. That's a really great assist percentage there. 16 of 31 from downtown, 51.6% overall from three-point land. That's a blistering three-point percentage for the Rockets. Just easily one of their best offensive performances all season long, despite the turnovers. And that's one thing that you're seeing now, and we've been seeing an increased, steady dosage of it for the past few weeks, really, is Jalen Green being trusted to be the number one option pretty consistently within a given game, and being trusted to be kind of the lead ball handler and primary guard for this Rockets team, and Fred VanVleet kind of fading into the background. And yeah, Jalen had a couple turnovers here and there. Amen Thompson, his ball handling duties have increased dramatically as well, and he had 4 turnovers. But there's going to be, little bumps in the road. There's going to be growing pains as those two guys get more accustomed to their new roles and their new dynamics and feeding off of one another, especially playing fast and playing in transition. And then just Amen Thompson, man. What more can we say about this guy? He's playing like an all-NBA first-team defensive guy. 19 points on 7 of 15 shooting. He was 1 of 3 from downtown, 4 of 7 at the free throw line, including the 2 clutch free throws to put this game at arm's distance from the Grizzlies late to give the Rockets that 3-point lead. 13 rebounds, so another double-double, just another night at the office for Amen Thompson, racking up the boards. 4 of them on the offensive glass, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 5 blocked shots. With none more impressive. I think the most impressive block Amen Thompson had, my personal favorite, was when Ja Morant, his like patented move, right, is he drives in and he'll like drop the shoulder and like bump away the defender, and then he'll go to that little floater like, within like 3 to 5 feet away from the basket. And he did that to Amen Thompson. He got the bump, and Amen looked like he was frozen for a second, and then Ja went for his floater. And Amen Thompson, with that insane second jump, or not even a second jump, but just that insane, like his insane, like quickness in his jump, was able to leap and swat the ball and recover it all in one motion. It was ridiculous. He had another one in the third quarter where Ja drove to the left baseline and elevated for like a midi pull-up, and Amen Thompson was right there and was able to contest the shot and force a travel on Ja Morant. Like, that stuff is just ridiculous. Watching Amen Thompson with his size, his length, and also the speed to be able to match Ja Morant. That's what you're talking about when you look at Amen Thompson. Not many people can do what just happened to Ja Morant defensively. Yeah, he had 29 points, but it took him 24 shots to get there. Only 11 of 24 shooting, and he had 7 turnovers. Like, that's absurd. Amen Thompson had Ja Morant in hell, put him in the penitentiary. It was ridiculous watching what happened. And again, the speed at which the Rockets play with Amen Thompson in the starting lineup and how much more dynamic he makes this team, it really feels like it's helping unlock so much more for everybody. Even Fred VanVleet is able to kind of take a step back and play more the role that we envisioned that he'd be playing this season. Fred in this game, only 9 points, only took 5 shots, but he had 9 assists. He had a steal. He had a block. He played great defense. He was tasked with guarding Desmond Bane after Bane reeled off that quick 15 points. Was good about limiting him there in the fourth quarter. Didn't let him get going again after he got hot there in the third. So Amen just does so much for this Rockets team. Tasked with guarding the opposing team's best player, plays in transition, gets out and run, or he's able to get out and run, and he just makes life easier for Jalen Green. And the speed at which the Rockets are able to play with Amen Thompson is truly and utterly game-changing. This is a very different Rockets team with Amen Thompson in the starting lineup, and other teams are playing catch-up. They're trying to figure out how to guard the Rockets, what to do about them now defensively, and nobody really knows yet. And this Rockets team, since losing against since dropping the game against the Boston Celtics, the Rockets have reeled off so many, like some really high octane offense. They had a season low 86 points on 36.4% shooting against the Celtics. And since that point, the Rockets are averaging 123.3 points per game on 48% shooting over these past 4. Rockets are now 10-1 when scoring over 120 points this season, and they're 5-0 when shooting 50% or better. They're also now still 7-0 when Jalen Green scores 30 or more points. So the recipe is there. When the Rockets' offense is clicking and their defense is able to still keep up, it's pretty much curtains for anybody they come across. Coming up, I want to talk about Cam Whitmore, his huge spark off the Rockets bench, as well as another couple stats to get into from this one, and some final thoughts on Alperen Sengun, his struggles in this game, as well as some of the other bench contributors. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Look, I love going to live events. It's the absolute best, whether it's a basketball game or a concert or the theater or a comedy club. One of my favorite memories this past year was going to a concert, and look, the energy, the excitement, it was truly an unforgettable experience, and I got the tickets on Game Time. Now, Game Time's made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different ticketing offers. Look, just like a week or so ago, I was looking for some tickets to a Rockets game later this month, trying to take some friends, and I was using the Game Time app, and with Game Time Picks, I was able to find amazing deals, and I could even see the view from my seat before buying. The super deal was really impressive. It offered great seats at unbeatable prices, plus the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. They're fully transparent, so take the guesswork out of buying your tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Today's episode is also brought to you by Hungry Root. Look, when it comes to grocery shopping and meal planning, I've had this ongoing problem, and I feel like maybe you can relate to it. Sometimes you just don't have the time, right? Between work, life, and trying to eat healthier, I was constantly feeling stressed out. I'd go to the grocery store and buy things I didn't need, and then end up with no time to actually cook, and then you wind up wasting stuff, and sticking to your health goals, impossible, right? But everything changed when I found Hungry Root. Honestly, it's been a game changer. It's the easiest way to eat healthy without the stress. With Hungry Root, it's like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist all in one. They take care of my grocery shopping, recommending meals and groceries based on my tastes and health goals, from anti-inflammatory to high protein and gluten-free options. And the best part, every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less. I'm talking quick, healthy meals that actually taste great, all delivered straight to my doorstep. It's been a huge time saver and has made healthy eating so much simpler. You're going to love Hungry Root just as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box and a free item in every box for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA. Don't miss out. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. A couple interesting stats that stand out from this game. The Rockets and Grizzlies are two of the best, if not the two best, offensive rebounding teams in the association. So that was going to be an interesting battle to watch for in this game. And the Rockets came out on top. They won the rebounding battle flat out, 40-31, which was impressive. And then they won the rebounding battle, or the offensive rebounding battle, I should say, by a wide margin, 15 to just 8. 15 offensive rebounds for the Rockets to just 8 offensive rebounds for the Grizzlies. And that was huge, right? In a game where the Rockets weren't, following one of their usual, win conditions of taking care of the basketball and not turning things over, they still did what they needed to do on the offensive glass. And this is actually the first time all season that the Memphis Grizzlies have been out offensive rebounded by their opponent. Shockingly, given the fact the Rockets have played them 3 separate times now. So I was blown away when I saw that statistic. And they had 28 assists on 41 made shots. So did a great job sharing the basketball, getting guys involved. Fred VanVleet leading the way with his 9 assists, but a smattering of assists up and down. 4 for Jalen, 5 for Sengun, a couple of assists for DB, 4 assists for Amen Thompson. Just great job from everybody sharing the basketball, including, pardon me, a moment from Cam Whitmore, which look, his impact off the bench, having that scoring punch off the bench is huge for this Rockets team. 16 points in 21 minutes. He was a big part of some of these runs by the Rockets, including that big run to end the third quarter to make sure that they were in a better spot going into the fourth, only down 5. And to me, my favorite play of the game for Cam was actually his one and only assist. And it came at the end of the third quarter when the Rockets were on that went on that 9-1 run to close out the quarter. Amen Thompson got the offensive rebound with a few seconds left in the frame, kicks it out to Cam Whitmore. And look, old Cam Whitmore, like rookie Cam Whitmore, probably would have pulled the trigger on that 3 immediately. Even like Cam Whitmore from earlier this season would have probably faked the two defenders by and dribbled into a pull-up 2 or a pull-up 3 or whatever. But new and improved Cam Whitmore, the Cam Whitmore who has grown considerably in his game, defensively, offensively, the ability to recognize and make reads and find his teammates. He faked the two Grizzlies defenders out. They flew right by him, took one dribble in towards the defense to make the other defender commit, and then swung it to the corner for an Aaron Holiday three-pointer to cap off that 9-1 run to end the third quarter. That, like, I legit almost jumped out of my seat. I was so happy and so proud of Cam Whitmore making that read and making that play. So unselfish to close out the quarter. So not only was he getting his own buckets, he's making, had that good read, had a couple good defensive possessions, some deflections, getting a steal here. Rockets were, Ime was utilizing his size at times to body up to some of the bigger players that the Grizzlies had out there. Just a strong game from Cam Whitmore off the Rockets bench. And even, the bench contribution, Steven Adams too was big time off the bench. Talked about the rebounding battle. Steven Adams had 6 of his 7 rebounds were on the offensive glass, and Adams continues to just rack up really impactful minutes off the bench. And Adams had to step up in a big way with Alperen Sengun. Kind of a mixed bag for Alp in this game, and Alp really struggling with foul trouble in this one. Steven Adams had to step up and play that 5 spot in the fourth quarter while the Rockets were kind of mounting their comeback and getting back into this game, and then Alp was able to check in and kind of help close things out. But shout out to Steve-O for being able to kind of hold down the fort at the 5 spot while Alp was struggling with the fouls. And Alp in this game, again, said it already, mixed bag, but 17 points on 7 of 17 shooting, only 3 of 6 at the foul line, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, had a block shot, and 6 turnovers. So, this wasn't the monstrous game that Alpi had last week against the Grizzlies where, Edie, Triple J, Brandon Clark, they had no answer for him. This was a game where I thought the biggest difference for Alpi in this game was when he was attacking Zach Edey in particular. Last game, when he found so much success, it felt like he was getting Zach Edey in motion, right? Whether he was running inverted pick and roll actions and like a guard would come screen, and then Zach Edey was having to move his feet, and he's a lumbering big 7'4" dude. Zach Edey doesn't want to have to move his feet on the perimeter, so Sengun was using his quickness to attack Zach Edey, force him to foul, getting around him and scooping and scoring at the rim. It didn't do enough of that this game. It felt like there were way too many points where Sengun would catch the ball like on just a regular like post up or a face up opportunity where he was having to go at a 7'4" Zach Edey with like no additional help, just trying to rely on out muscling him, which is you're feeding into exactly what you want to do against a guy that big. You need to attack him in space. You need to get his feet moving, and it didn't feel like nearly as effective of a game for Sengun going at the Grizzlies bigs in this one. On top of that, he had a lot of missed like soft opportunities around the rim, and that continues to be a really glaring issue for Sengun this season. He's got to get it figured out. It's like the touch kind of comes and goes, but at this point, it's kind of unacceptable. Like so many of the easy shots that he's missing around the basket, they need to be converted. Like he can't keep having games like this, and it's fortunate that the Rockets didn't lose this game, because I'd probably be a lot harsher on Sengun than I am right now if they had lost this one, especially given his performance. And then the 6 turnovers. Not all of it is Sengun's fault, the 6 turnovers. I think a part of it is how the Rockets were, attacking with Sengun offensively, and then the other part is just, Sengun can be a little predictable sometimes when he goes to make his move and goes to make his spins and his pirouettes offensively. And, when he puts the ball on the floor, especially when there's like a non-shooting lineup out there, like Amen Thompson and Jayshawn Tate at the same time, the Grizzlies were able to kind of collapse in, and, Sengun would, deal with little poke checks and stuff from behind. And that just can't happen. The Rockets need to have a little bit of better spacing, but Sengun also needs to not telegraph what he's doing with the basketball. And so got to cut down on those turnovers. It's understandable that, when you handle the basketball as much as Sengun does, and the responsibility that he has facilitating for his teammates in the middle of the floor, like you're going to have some mistakes here and there. But it felt like at least like 2 or 3 of Sengun's turnovers were kind of more or less like unforced errors in this game that could have been cleaned up and could have led to better opportunities for himself and for his teammates. But I say mixed bag because he still impacted the game. He still scored, still got to 17 despite it being on bad efficiency, still rebounded the ball, still found his teammates, still had 5 assists, still had some steals and a blocked shot in there. So still finding ways to impact the game despite his struggles. And Ime still trusting him to close this one out at the end. He had a big bucket there in the closing moments of this game for, little left-handed, pirouetting shot in the paint. And then he had that dime to Amen Thompson, the alley-oop over the top of the defense. So still finding ways to be effective despite the scoring struggles. So, and again, the free throws, man, like last game, it was killer, only going 7 of 15 from the free throw line. This game, 3 of 6 at the foul line. At this point, lock Alperen Sengun in a gym and make him get up like 1,000 free throws, 10,000 free throws, whatever you need until he can iron out the free. And again, the free throws feel like it's probably the same issue as the touch thing around the basket. Like he's added strength. I understand that. Like, it's messing with his touch and his ability around the basket. But like we're like halfway through the season at this point. Like it can't keep being a recurring issue. It's got like you got to resolve it at some point. So need Sengun to get in the lab and figure that part of his game out so that it's not an issue. Because if Sengun had a game like he did in the last meeting between these two teams, in addition to Jalen going off and Amen playing the way that he did, the Rockets win this game handedly instead of being in a dogfight to the final buzzer. So just need Sengun to step it up. He's better than how he's played. And that's the frustrating part is he's, when he has these rough games, he knows he's capable of more. We know that he's capable of more. He's been the Rockets' most consistent player to date on the roster through the last about season and a half, except for maybe Dillon Brooks, although Dillon Brooks has hit a bit of a rough patch lately. So just need to see him iron out this part of his game and get back to the touch and the finesse and the finishing ability around the basket that he has displayed in the past that we know that he's capable of. So with that, one other note that I wanted to point out here is that stupid possession that led to Alp's 5th foul. The Rockets, Ime tried to call a challenge on it or try to challenge the call to have it be reversed and have the foul put on Aaron Holiday because Holiday did grab Ja Morant's arm. And so technically it should have been a foul on Aaron Holiday first, but shout out to Tony Brothers who refused to overturn the call. And then also shout out to Tony Brothers who completely blatantly missed that. It was not even the right call when Amen Thompson passed the ball into Cam Whitmore and Cam slapped it back towards him. It was a lazy play, but Cam slapped it back towards him and then it didn't go far enough. So then he slapped it a second time. And then Tony Brothers comes over and like whistles it an over and back call, which is not even the right call to make in that situation. I don't know if it just was supposed to be a double dribble. Like it's just and it led to a Grizzlies 3 and it was just stupid and just added a little bit more fuel to the fire in my hatred, my eternal burning hatred for Tony Brothers and NBA officiating at large. So just some ridiculous incompetence, to say the least. And after the game, Ime was told, he spoke with Tony Brothers at halftime. They looked at it and he apologized for it, and just stupid play from a stupid official. So with that, I want your thoughts from this Rockets win against the Memphis Grizzlies, 120-118. They hold the head-to-head tiebreaker. Another big win for the Rockets. They are now ahead in the loss column by 3 games. So 3 games up on the Memphis Grizzlies as they hold the 2 seed in the Western Conference, and they hold the head-to-head tiebreaker. They're on a 4-game win streak. A lot of good stuff brewing for the Houston Rockets. I want your thoughts in the YouTube comments. Remember, the best way to help us grow the show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop the comments there. Subscribe to the daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.